Hello, welcome back to Benesushi LiveNoding. We're gonna continue today with our recursive compositing technique. So basically, I have this setup, basically following what's his name, this guy in Twitter. Um, Basically, you can do some kind of a recursive displacement, and it's gonna give you some kind of pseudo fluid effects. And yeah, so I'm gonna do it really quick. Basically, I have, let's just render this out first of all. I think it should just work. So I have a torus, and I think it's not really rendering anything. I think, oh yeah, I remember I need to render it out first as something before this can work. So I have this file output nodes. I save it as preview, and we actually need to have the actual scene. First of all, input is gonna be the render layer, I believe, the scene. So I'm just gonna save this first real quick. So it's some kind of torus with this kind of procedural texture. What's interesting is that with the Blender also you have some kind of ability to generate procedural texture if this is actually the old way. And where is it? We need to be in this globe, the world, and we can see this is what I use to generate this texture. If I'm not wrong, it's like something that looks like a mass grave, just a two pearly noise mixed together. Nothing too special there, but yeah, if I update it, well, I think this is the texture I'm using, and then this guy is being piped into a compositor in real time, and it's rendering these objects basically. Or actually, rather, this guy is using material from that texture. Anyhow, it is doing rendering now. It's I made it so it's like 25 frames. So while it's still rendering, let's check out the node editor. See, normally when you're rendering, you're not supposed to touch the nodes anyway. Sometimes it crashes, but the nice thing, the interesting thing is that you actually can play around with the parameter sometimes, and that way you are changing the parameter in real time. You should try that sometimes, although it might crash Blender, but it's interesting. Let's see if the rendering is actually working. So yeah, indeed, it's rendering nothing on the compositor, but it's actually previewing. We get that on the preview, so that's good. So that's what we need. We need just 4 more frames. That's later on we're gonna pipe into this guy right here. So hopefully it's gonna do the job. Wait for 1 more frame. So here I actually have the original one. Let's see how this works. So I'm gonna save this and then save it again. So let's do this properly. Hopefully this one I just load this guy right here with that pref, and then we have 25 frames, and we start, our start frame should be, I think this should be like start frame 2, and this one start frame 1, using the same image. So now if you look at the preview viewer node, we get that result. Let's see. So maybe we need to output it into the composite right here. Oh, actually this is the composite already. So we probably need to pipe it there as well. So you can see there's some kind of effects already happening. So one image is being displaced using this noise that I generate procedurally. So there's this setup that I use following that example from Twitter. So one image being processed, the other one is a normal one, pipe it into the alpha over. And if I'm not wrong, as we continue, if we render it out, this one will override this guy right here, and it's gonna continue doing that recursively until we get a new result that's much more interesting. So that's the first one. Second one. See, displacements start to happen, and then more recursive thing happening. So again, so suddenly we have some kind of pseudo fluid effects where it's almost like this donut texture is kind of leaking into the image and giving this kind of fluid effects. The object's currently moving slightly a little bit fast. I think it's rotating. Oh yeah, for the animation, I'm actually using animation nodes to do this, just wiggling. And as it's moving around, the previous image is being composited over and over again. And we are getting this kind of really fluid, really cool looking fluid effects. So I really like this. Actually, I'm gonna take a screenshot. It's pretty unusual. How to screenshot? It's like a fiery, fluidy kind of donut. So yeah, that's basically what I want to show you. It's pretty interesting. Go back to node editor again. This is the setup. Sometimes I'm still slightly confused whether, so this render layer is basically the one that's currently rendering, and at the same time it's also doing this override of one of the image. So it's doing a recursive processing into one image, and then it's doing the alpha over and over again. So that's the recursive part. The viewer nodes is what we are seeing here, and the composite is the final result of the render. Currently we are rendering. If you hover over this guy, you can see the time remaining and time elapsed. And so how many do we have now? What's the frame number? I think we're almost done. Oh, this one is also giving the final result, the composite. So open with a QuickTime and let's see what we have now. The nice thing, of course, everything is procedural, and then you can change the texture and you get a different result. You can even change the donut into different 3D objects. So let's grab this guy right here, 001, open it up, sequence of, let's make it 10 frames per second. Okay, you get a video. There you go, that's the effects. That's looking like a fluid, even though the fluid's going in that direction. If I'm not wrong, you can actually control the directions of this displacement somehow. If you randomize the displacement on each frame. And also, have you ever thought about the optical flow, kind of like the speed of objects in between frames being tracked, and you can probably use that to displace the shape there in Compositor. I don't know if that's possible. It's a speed. I'm not sure we have speed. Maybe we do have speed to be rendered here. Maybe that's something I want to try next time. vector speed in between of pixels. So anyhow, this is how you can do like a pseudo, like a fake fluid looking 2D, like a compositing method. Again, it's called recursive compositing, I call it. And this is very interesting. You can actually do a lot more just simply by overriding the image and then processing the image over and over again. Okay, so that's it. Hopefully this is useful for you. Let me know what you think. Maybe some additional feedbacks and suggestion. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.